All right, here we go. Welcome to the Tribal Future Podcast today with the goddess April Rose. I'm going to give you a short intro. You already know who I am. I'm Adriatica. I'm a body artist. I paint people, I tattoo people, I dance with people, and I breathe with people. These people are mostly women. In this podcast, I wanted to interview women that have influenced the dance that we do and that I do. And today I have April Rose with me. Probably a lot of you know April Rose. I'm going to give a short intro about what she does, and then she's going to explain it herself. So, April Rose is a belly dancer, a creator of the Dance Cohesion method. She has toured with the Bellydance Superstars and with UNMATA, and she wrote a thesis about belly dance. So the thesis is called Belly Dance in America, Strategies for Seeking Personal Transformation. And I've read the thesis. And if she lets me, I'm going to put it under this video so that you can read it too. It's about 170 pages. Welcome, April. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is you do and where do you come from?
Hi, Adriatica. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm really excited to be here. I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm from Sacramento, California. I said that like I'm not a local. I'm from Sacramento, California, which is near the Bay Area in California. And I went to UCLA, so I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles as well. And I teach belly dance, frame drum, finger cymbals, and I perform. And I created a method that combines group improvisation with frame drum, belly dance, and finger cymbals.
That's great. Yes, you. So for those who landed here by accident, belly dance has a lot of subcategories or what we call belly dance. Um, and actually, or should I say maybe the categories have been fragmented because maybe it used to be all one or come from different areas. So you don't see a lot of belly dancers doing the cymbal and less of them doing the frame drum. How did you get there? Or did you fall in love with the instruments and the dance together, like doing both? Because it requires a high level of um how do you say, how do you call it when you do something with your feet and with your hand and then with your fingers as well? That piece.
Yes, like multitasking.
Yes, polyrhythmia.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I think a big part of it is maybe because I've been belly dancing for so long, the technique feels very at home in my body. And when I was exposed to the frame drum, I really liked its deep, resonant vibration, and it felt immediately healing and appealing to me. And then when drumming, I like to combine that with dancing. I think I like to dance, drum, and play finger cymbals individually and together because it grounds my nervous system in the rhythm and it gives my mind a vacation from my thoughts and it brings me into a state of like integrated presence and it feels really good.
Amazing. Yes, grounding the nervous system is key. I do that with breath. But now that I know you through, you're one of the big names from North America. Some of this magic that started there sprinkled over Europe and every other place, mainly through because I'm a seed of tribal fusion belly dance, even though I don't call it like that anymore, or I'm like also asking what should we call it? How do you call it? From tribal fusion to fusion belly dance to trans transnational or transcultural, but is it belly dance? Which words do you use and which ones you don't use anymore and why?
Yes, I it's such an interesting discussion and I want to start by saying that I really am not interested in prescribing the answer for anybody else and saying what anybody else should be doing.
Mhm.
I'm I'm happy to speak about what I do and my choices and my history and my experience and my thoughts. But it's not a decree or a model for others. It's just what I'm choosing.
Hmm.
So I choose most of the time on first interaction to use the word belly dance because it's the most familiar. And I want to include people who don't know anything about the dance form, and help bring them in because it's so rich. And then I also use the word raksharki. I think sometimes I do dance raksharki. I enjoy raksharki. I study it. I feel that I can do a good job of doing a dance that feels appropriately titled raksharki.
Hmm.
I also think that sometimes what I do is transcultural dance. It's not really raksharki. It wouldn't be right to call it that. And it's also not even belly dance. It's something else. It's something else entirely. And I hope that it's part of a larger community and I think it is. I think it's part of the community that calls themselves the tribal belly dance community. And I think when I was dancing tribal belly dance, as a 16-year-old in Sacramento at Hot Pot in a garage with the door lifted up while we are all like sweaty and tattooed and pierced and hairy armpitted and sitting in a circle before and after every class. And when we said that was tribal belly dance, I think for me as a teenager, what that really meant was I was a part of a community that meant something and that was not necessarily my family or my high school or any other community that I could find. I guess almost like a sports team. And I think we called tribal belly dance literally was the improv. Whenever we did group improv, we said, let's dance tribal. So it meant doing group improv. And I love doing group improv. I learned it from Amy Sigil in what she called improvisational tribal style. And now it's improv team sync. I grew up dancing ITS, improvisational tribal style, from Amy.
Hmm.
And we would go to Tribal Fest and participate in the full community of other dancers doing group improv and doing really interesting solo works on stage as well. And then there became a conversation about the word tribal. And before that larger conversation in 2020, I was thinking about these words and what words I wanted to use when I was getting my master's degree at UCLA, because I went there for a dance degree. And the dance department and the cultural studies department shared the same building and a lot of the same classes. So the dance department has a very post-colonial lens on the study of dance. And I was exposed to that post-colonial lens at the age of 18 when I went to college. And then I continued and got my graduate degree, at the age of 24. So I spent 6 years in the academy of a post-colonial liberal arts college. And that's when I decided that, the words we use could use some reexamination. And also some of our practices can use some reexamination. And, I believe in our dance community's value. I think it brings a lot of value to my life and to other people's lives. And that it can be, expanded upon and made deeper and more rich with conversations like the ones that you're having with dancers. And around 2020, Amy decided to change the name of improvisational tribal style to improv team sync. And that's one of the things that initiated the larger conversation about the word.
Hmm.
Amy also wasn't issuing a decree for other people either. She was doing what felt right to her. She lives in Redding, California now. She can talk to you about it. There are flyers on the community centers that say tribal dance workshop. She's not going to put because there's tribal lands and native people living in Redding, California. So for her to put a flyer up, improvisational tribal style, and have it be the black sports bras and electronic music it doesn't compute It doesn't feel right. So she changed the name of her dance form that I am a certified teacher of that I've been doing since I was a teenager. I'm 38 now, if anyone's doing math or curious. and
Yeah.
um, and then that was, because of conversations that Donna Mejia had been having with the dance
Mhm.
community, and she's also an academic. And she proposed the term transnational dance. And a lot of people adopted the term transnational dance as an alternative to tribal dance. And then there was a reaction against that for many reasons, one of which being the literal words transnational being reminiscent of large corporations coming into large US corporations going into non-US places and extracting their resources and helping to further puppet regimes and whatnot. Mainly,
Yeah.
I think the reaction was out of South America.
Yeah, because
And
national is already like it's also through a colonial lens because as indigenous person, you don't you belong to a tribe, maybe to a nation, but the nation was decided but by the colonialists. Basically, I think that might be the problem with that transnational dance. Um, okay, but sorry, continue.
transnational dance. So then I think there was a sideways move to transcultural.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it was ever issued as a public decree. I don't know if anyone's ever issued any public decrees about what the word is that we should be using for our dance. And if they ever did, I think they changed their mind because I think it's for us to decide collectively, individually over time.
Yes.
And so I feel good about using the words transcultural to describe a dance, a choreography that I might make that really doesn't feel right to call raksharki, really doesn't even feel right to call belly dance. I
Mm-hmm.
like to use the term transcultural dance.
I think that might be the closest uh how do you say not agreement but compromise between because it is a dance that transcends so transculture. What does that mean? It transcends culture. So what we do in the end is that you take inspirations from many different cultures and ideally you study these cultures or you like in some ways or another you get in touch with it by either learning the language or by learning what their people do or what they eat or where, does it come from a religious context or where does it come from? I think that really the search of trying to understand the the origin and the roots of what it is that we do, whether you mix like Indian fusion and then, go study with an Indian teacher in India, maybe, or something else, is
I
what
think yes.
yeah, this is about, and we don't have a name. Most of the dancers, we are like bipolar, tripolar, quadripolar, or whatever the name is. Like depending on who we talk, we use different names, but there's not one thing that we agree. Some people use tribal fusion, some people use fusion belly dance, some people use transnational or transcultural. And this is not about pointing fingers and saying they're doing it wrong. This is about having a harmonious conversation about um, what's the future of this dance, maybe.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we love it. There's a reason why we're having this discussion because it brings a lot of value and meaning to our lives and to the people who we dance with.
Yeah.
So it's important to us. And I think that's my only thing about the word transcultural is like you said, it means above and beyond culture. When
Hmm.
almost it's like would rather be like intercultural,
Mm.
rather than beyond culture, because I think that we value culture and all the individual cultures. But no word is going to be the perfect word globally for everyone to use. And I think that's probably true for other dance forms too, you know?
Well, I mean, there's like, if you contemporary or if you dance hip hop or if you're a whacker, like I'm also a whacking dancer. It's very sort of okay, the whacking dances, they discuss whether you write it with an H or with an A or whatever, but it's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
yeah, it's pretty clear what it is and where it comes from and what's the language, the movement language of it and who invented it, which were LGBTQ people in the 70s from the East Coast, again, of America. But with this dance that we do is because in its origin, it's already a fusion, right? Belly dance is already a fusion. And recently, I gave a class about shimmies. So basically, this whole discussion started because I moved countries. I'm in Switzerland now, and the owner of the school asked me, "Are you a tribal fusion belly dancer?" And I said, "Yes, but no. Like I don't put it like that because for whatever reasons, my reasons. Like I'm in Switzerland. If I would be in Brazil and I would have people of indigenous origin dancing with me and starting the movement, maybe I would call it tribal fusion belly dance. But I also think it's like a thing of it has passed and now we have to move on. So
I want to ask you, Adriatica,
yeah,
how do you feel about the name of this podcast?
tribal future. Yeah, tribal
Yes.
future is a name that I invented in 2018 out of a body paint project that I had because I'm also a body painter and a tattoo artist. I became a tattoo artist later, but body painting and tattoo are actually much closer to indigenous practices and can be like tracked back to indigenous and shamanic practices, especially amongst women. I study that too now. And then I didn't want to use the word tribal fusion because of that whole discussion and because I think it relates to a form of dance that we learned and that is almost like 10 years ago now. But then asking the question, what is the future of the tribes? And also asking what could tribal mean? Is tribal really related in its origin to indigenous people? Or could we see ourselves as the tribe of, human beings in an era of AI, in an era where maybe whether you're human or you're not is also going to become a question. Whether
Hmm.
you are alive, whether you have a spirit or not. What do these things mean, And but very loose, far away from religion, but very close to spirituality and the word spirit. Yeah, these were my thoughts.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. I read your thesis and I made a few notes of it and now I'm diverging from my original questions, but I really enjoyed reading it. I think it's
I'm
wonderful, yes, that you use the dance, and this is what every single woman has been reporting and sharing, is that this dance, beyond what we call it, it's a practice that we all share and that all empower women, and in some cases it transforms. No, in all cases, it transforms it. In some cases, it heals someone or it helps you come over it. I think with Amy, as much as she shared from her story, it also helped her um, overcome her addiction. And for other people, I had students who their mother have died or they came from a rape or all of these things. I think this is a powerful tool to help people transform and to help women specifically transform. Although I know that you have widened that lens too. You work with, or a lot of your students are not, they don't fit into the male, female. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I think maybe that's even something I would amend in this thesis. Please remember, I wrote this thesis in 2012. It's
12.
2026. I
Wow.
was 24 years old. I'm 38 years old. This thesis was written before some of the most amazing books that we have on belly dance history were written.
Oh, I
And
had that
so
book. Yeah.
Egyptian Belly Dance in Transition by Heather Ward,
I'm
and she
gonna
also
talk
has
to
Rocks
her
in the
too.
City,
Amazing.
and Before They Were Belly Dancers
Hmm.
um, by Kathleen Frazier. I
Hmm.
love the information in those books, and I would make some amendments to this based on what I learned from what's in those books.
No, of course,
Um,
but it's already like you write things like words in 2012, you write things like words Oriental and tribal are loaded with imperial domination agenda. So that's the post-colonial lens that you're writing it through already. But
yes.
the thing with the gender came later. What do you think
Yes.
about people that are not that don't identify as women um, being in that dance? And is that something new? I don't think that's new.
Well, I'm a mom of a young boy, and I'm teaching him he, she, and they. And, when he gets old enough to understand, which is pretty close, he's very smart, it's like some people are he's, some people are she's, some people are they's, and you don't know unless you ask them.
Hmm.
And as far as in belly dance or in transcultural dance, or in just in my studio, the Culture of Rose Movement studio and Dance Cohesion, there's an acknowledgement that Raksharki has been done by men, and the dances that influence Raksharki have been done by men. And when European travelers came into Egypt and saw men doing dances, some of them said that it was impersonation of women, but maybe it wasn't impersonation of women. Maybe that's how they saw it when men are moving their hips in a certain way or dressed in a certain way. So men have been part of the dance throughout history.
Are you referring
And
to the kawals? Kawals, is that what they call them? Yes.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And some of them also, there is a history of impersonating the female dancers after there was a ban and they weren't able to perform as well. But so yes, men have always been part of the dance and are welcome to be part of the dance. And people who don't identify as either man or woman are also very welcome in my dance studio. I have no hangups about it whatsoever. People can change their gender while in my life, and I will change their pronouns. I'll change your name as many times as you want me to change your name. That is something that's been a part of my life since actually dancing with Amy at Hot Pot from being 16 years old. And I'm from California, from the Bay Area, California, so that's not an unusual thing for me, even as a young person, and especially now.
Yeah. Nice. Nice, nice. Because yes, that's very nice. So I'm gonna continue and ask you things about like mm, so maybe let's yeah, which traditions or cultures have influenced your work?
I think that mostly it is Egyptian raksharki and Iranian classical dance. That's a little
Iranian
bit
classical
more
dance?
recent. Yes, Persian dance.
Mm, I don't know much about
And
that.
I could,
How do they dance? What is the dance called? It I have an
it's,
image with
it,
skirts in my head.
so Shahzad Khorsandi would be a great person to look up if anyone is curious about Iranian classical dance and Persian dance. She's also based in the Bay Area. She created a codified format for the movements in Persian dance, which are a lot of the times inspired by miniature paintings. And it has a lot of face framing and a lot of lines and a lot of dancing in a 6/8 time signature. And yeah,
Wait,
I
I have
would.
a reference of an Iranian dancer. His name is he's from Saeed. Yeah, I danced with him a performance. He's gay and he danced with a skirt and he does these things, but I never yeah, and he's from Iran, but I never got to ask him where his inspirations are from. Another one of the oldest cultures on this planet, Iran.
And I think even though I'm not studying, and also by the way, I studied Iranian classical dance from Shahrzad and also from Geeti Shirazi Mahajan, who is based in Austin, Texas. And people can look both of them up, and they're, I'm pretty sure, both available to teach online.
Hmm.
And um, I think I also still do carry some influences from my time studying classical Indian dance, particularly Bharatanatyam and Odissi. I don't really incorporate mudras or like traditional, like, or any of the codified stepping patterns anymore, usually. But I think that the general principle of like the tandava, like percussive, um, energy versus the lascia, more like feminine swaying, continuous energy. And some of the like tribangi type postures do end up appearing in the transcultural choreographies that I like to create. And also, I like dancing with the frame drum these days too, not only playing it while dancing, but as a prop. And that's done a lot in Central Asian dance, like in Tajikistan. So, some of the ways that I manipulate the frame drum might be influenced by Central Asian dance.
Yes, there we have it again. Drinking. Okay, we have 10 minutes left to this one. Let's see how far we gone, but we've gone pretty we're pretty good. Um, I wanted to ask you, I mean, I have a question here that for me is already like sort of resolved. It says, how do you navigate inspiration, respect, and cultural exchange? And for me, it was pretty clear after I read your thesis how to navigate it. But I would say by uh, researching it and, trying to learn as much as we can. Would you give a different answer?
I think now I would also add maybe that I do my best to stay in my lane and not speak for other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I do my best to give credit to the influences
Yeah.
and to not claim that I have created something that doesn't have influences or, that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that doesn't exist in art. Like you always are inspired by something,
And
unless
I
you.
stay away from saying that what I am doing is historic or groundbreaking for our larger community in general. I focus on my art that I want to create and I listen. I listen and I try to be part of the community and the larger conversation.
Mhm. And what do you, if you could imagine dance, what in the future, like okay, two lenses, maybe one lens, like what do you think that realistically, but realistic is a very reality is a very stretchable term, and also
Mm.
ideally, what do you think that the future of dance looks like? Maybe specifically of this dance, but you can also expand to dance in general.
Well, the future is unknown, but what I hope the future of dance, I I don't even know if it's a hope. I think I just maybe assume. I have this like assumption within me
Mm-hmm.
that dance is forever. Like I don't think that we're going to move beyond our desire to dance as a human society. I think we are going to want to move with each other even more and more, no matter what style of dance that is. Like here in Austin, Texas, it's very popular to go two-stepping. And two-stepping is like a very simple partner dance done to Western, what, I'm not exactly sure what they would define it, but like Western country music.
Country music.
I think there's a better name for it than that, for what you would do to two-step.
Uh-huh.
Western swing, is that what it's called? I think it might be called Western swing music. But there's all these live bands and people who go two-stepping and they do this partner dance and it's quite simple unless you make it complex, but you can just go take a quick little lesson before the night where it's just bands playing and people dancing on the dance floor. And
Mhm.
there's something about that. You're interacting with other people and you're moving to music and it makes people feel alive and it's popular and so many people are doing it, especially since we were all locked away in our homes from the pandemic. It's like, I think the drive to move your body with other people is ever present and only increasing.
And it's one of the oldest manifestations of art as well. I also don't think it's gonna stop. Whatever we call it, people are not gonna stop moving. It's rather the contrary. I think it's, if anything, it only grows.
And what a fun way to move your body. Like what a fun way to exercise.
Yes. Yes, although it's more than exercise because exercise is like something that all people go to academy and they do this repetitive movements. And in dance, I feel like you have to move your body, your soul, your spirit, and it reveals very much of who you are. There is this quote of this ballet dancer. I quoted him before here somewhere, where he's dance for me 1 minute and I tell you who you are. And this is so true. Okay, we have 4 minutes. I want to ask you the last question is what is something ancient that you think humanity should carry into the future? I've said my answer before. My answer is always breath.
Mm.
What would be your answer?
The frame drum.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. Yes.
And a book I really like about the frame drum and the history of it is called When the Drummers Were Women by
Uh-huh.
Lane Redmond. And I also really love Lane Redmond's music.
Hmm.
Um, so it just like the vibration of this instrument is so healing. And when you play it, especially if you play time signatures in like 5 or 7, it creates this like cyclical feeling in your body and in your nervous system that is just absolutely like hypnotic. It's clearly a technology,
Hmm.
for consciousness.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. Ancient technology. I think if we keep the drum and the breath, we are already on a pretty good way because I had an experience once where I went into meditation or breath. I don't remember what it was, but what I remember is that the person I was with my eyes closed, laying on the floor, and the person went over me and just drummed the drum over my body, and I felt the vibration of the drum on my body, and it did something to me that felt really grounding and good. And so yeah, the power of drums are
Let me
definitely
play it for a minute since we're talking about it, and
all
hopefully
right.
the mic like sounds okay, but
Yeah.
just so
Wow.
we're not only talking about it, so people can really hear that, really feel that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is great. I really appreciate your I feel you very calm and very like you have something that's very precise. I really like that. You
Thank
don't go
you.
over, you go like "Shoo."
Thank you.
Thank you so much, April. I really appreciate you being here and taking the time. I know you're a mom. You have a studio. You're in Texas. You have a lot to do. So thank you so much for
Well, I want to
putting
say
your
also thank you. You sending me the questions beforehand and inviting me to be on your podcast already, it did something within me that helped me really reach new levels of my own personal journey.
wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Can I put your thesis under this video?
Yes.
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 Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, especially ladies, April Rose.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.